On this episode of Carnage, we're going to intercool the Supermang. It is coming up on Christmas, and so we've decided to give the Supermang a bit of a Christmas present, and that is an intercooler. We need to bring those intake temps down. But a lot of you are probably saying, why don't you do the diff upgrade? And yes, if you watched the previous video, you'll know that we took the Supermang back out to Heathcote with drag radials and ran, well, mostly slower, but we did get a personal best of 1319 at 105.2. And there's the evidence right there. Now we did about 10 passes on the day and we discovered, and I kind of suspected this might be the case, but we really did confirm it, that the larger diameter drag radials really don't like the 3.08 gears that we run. So we need to go to like a 3.45 or a 3.7 to really use those drag radials effectively. However, to do that upgrade is going to cost us, a few grand. We're going to do, because we're not just going to put gears in it. If we're going to do gears, we might as well do LSD. If we're going to do LSD, we might as well go, 31 spline axles as well. Let's eliminate any point of failure in there. So we're looking at bigger axles, LSD and gears. We're looking at a few $1,000s. So that's going to be a 2022 problem. However, we do have pretty much all the parts for our intercooling. So we figure, let's do that, let's intercool it, let's find some more power, and then in the new year, we'll throw a diff in it, go faster. Maybe we'll jump straight past the 12s, who knows? I can dream. Anyway, let's pop the bonnet and see what we're dealing with. So, we were supposed to do the intercooler upgrade before we took the car to the Howtech birthday bash. Howtech birthday bash didn't happen. They got cancelled, and unfortunately that'll happen at a later date. But yeah, we kind of ran out of time as well, and one of the reasons we ran out of time is because I did a Play-Doh check, and I'll redo that check for you now. I'm going to put little Play-Doh man up there on the blower pulley, and the next highest point's probably there. So let's do a little test. We'll show you how much clearance there is, or isn't. Right, well, as you can see, we're not dealing with a lot of clearance there. Up the front, we've got about an inch, 25 mil, and probably 35 mil to there at the back. So, that's not enough. I'll show you why. So this is the intermediate plate for the intercooler. Goes under the blower, so that will be the front, the snout. Air will come from the blower, blow through here, then go out into the intercooler, then back into the manifold and into the engine. And as you can see, it's a little bit chunky. To the tune of 50 mil. So that basically is 2 inch, we have 1 inch. So it's not enough. So we could remove our underbonnet insulation. It's there to stop heat and noise going through the bonnet, but it is in really good condition, and I really don't want to screw it up. Like, we could remove it, but if we remove it, I don't think it's ever going back on. So yes, it could give us more room. I don't think it'd give us enough room, but it could give us more, and it'd be interesting to see. However, I think we'll go in search of another bonnet and we'll screw that up instead. Leave our standard bonnet all alone. However, being that it's coming up on Christmas and we've got no plans to run this car for the rest of the year, why don't we just intercool it anyway and leave the bonnet to be a 2022 problem? We don't need a bonnet for a dyno, that's for sure. So let's whip the bonnet off and get to work. Good. Here's the major components of our intercooler setup. Now, starting with this is the plate that goes under the blower, as we mentioned before. It has been modified underneath by Baz Spec Fabrications. There's his sticker there, you can find him on Facebook and all that sort of stuff. Now, Baz also modified this snout for us, so that'll take a much smaller pulley like that, okay? So you've got to machine down the snout to take the really small pulleys. But he also modified this spare intake manifold we had as well. So cleared it out and just it gives more room for air to pass through. It also blocks off those two water ports at the back of the manifold, so you no longer have water going into your blower, which is great because that was mainly for cold climate stuff. You know, over in the States, it gets damn cold in some of the areas, you know, especially in the north. So we don't need that. It doesn't get cold in Australia. Well, not that cold, you know. Hey, if we get to 0 degrees, we're all rugged up. Over in the States, 0 degrees in some of those northern climates is a balmy day. So all that's been modified, so that's ready to go on. So I've got to do manifold, intermediate plate, blower goes on. When we lift the blower up, we have to use injector spacers. So they come from Mace Engineering. We've also got to relocate our coil bracket. There's longer bolts for the blower. There's all sorts of stuff there for that. So we're going to be going out of this pipe into an intercooler and then back in. Now originally we were going to do an air-to-air system, but the space and the extra piping and stuff, I wasn't a super fan of it. A lot of people use them and a lot of people have great success with them, and sure, go for it. We even have a bunch of air-to-air intercoolers laying around that we could use. However, I want to try water to air. So I've got this a barrel cooler off eBay. It's only a cheapie. And yes, it's not going to be the most efficient barrel cooler ever. I mean, yeah, it's 150 bucks off eBay, so how good is it going to be? However, I do think it will work somewhat for us. So we're going to go out of the blower, into the intercooler, and then back into the engine. And then water will run from this to heat exchanger, then heat exchanger back to the tank. It should bring our intake temps down, and we do see some insane intake temps. I mean, on the drag strip, it's nothing to see 100 degrees. You know, we've got a warning that comes up at 115 degrees. I only saw that once the other day, and that's when I did that massive burnout right at the end, and we saw the 115 degree warning come up during the burnout, and I still did the pass, so it came up again half track, and I stayed into it because, well, can't tell me what to do. But anyway, yeah, we see insane intake temps, you know, 118, 120 degrees. It's not good. If we can get that down to 50, 60 degrees, that would be fantastic. And then with, you know, the lower intake temps, we can run a smaller pulley, more boost. I'll show you these up against our existing pulley and give you some idea of the size differences. So I can't remember what the exact size of this pulley is, but this pulley made about 10.5 pounds boost. I think it was a 3.2 inch. Here's the snout I was talking about before that Baz has machined for us. Now you can see the existing snout has these long ribs, and while there is clearance with this pulley, with this smaller pulley, you may start to run into trouble. So Baz has machined the snout back, machined the fins back. It's done a really good job. It's a really nice looking piece. But we've got this pulley. I have no idea what boost this one will make. Probably, who knows, maybe 15 pounds. And then we've got This pulley, Mr. Angry, that one's about 19 to 20 pounds of boost. Of course, we can't run anywhere near that sort of boost without an intercooler. And that's what this is all about. Well, I reckon it's about time for a montage. If you're wondering what to give Dad for Christmas, get him one of these. They're awesome. So we're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty of fitting our intermediate plate. We're going to use 2 of these gaskets. Now we're going to open the gaskets up for this larger hole that Baz has made for us. So we'll cut them out with the scissors. It's not going to be too hard, I don't think. It's basically everything inside there needs to go. Like I said, not too hard. But we have our intermediate plate, and there may be some interference issues here. Gets very close to the firewall, but that's all right. I'm sure we'll work that out. But the main problem is this dipstick tube is in the road for the transmission. So we need to bend that out of the way, hopefully without screwing it up. Does this still work? Still works. So as I mentioned before, we got this really nice snout that Baz has machined up for us. How I just remembered, I don't have the hub adapter that goes on here that you bolt the pulleys to, and I don't have the tool to remove it. What I'm going to do is pull this pulley off and test this next size down. If this next size down fits over the snout as is, I'll go with what we've got. Otherwise, this might screw us because we're going to have to either remove that hub adapter somehow, because like I said, I don't have the tool for it, or, well, I really did tighten them up, or I'm going to have to just order another hub adapter. Fun, either way. just skims it. Damn it! So, I'm not sure what size pulley that is. So that's a 2.9 inch pulley, and I can tell you that, yeah, that's not going to work. So the pulley we had on there was a 3.2 inch pulley. We just tried to put the 2.9 inch pulley on there, and it just skims it, which is not good. That's not going to work, which is a real bummer. How small's the little pulley? It's tiny. 2.55. Yeah, she's a little girl. So we've dragged out our small bearing separator. We're going to give that a try. We've got a 10mm socket on the front just to protect the snout. I'd rather screw up a 10mm socket than the actual blower snout because 10mm sockets are easy to replace. Alrighty, let's give it a hit. There we go. That was easier than I thought. I thought we were kind of screwed. So we're just marveling before at how good a job Baz did on this snout. I mean, look at the way he's machined the snout and then machined these fins back and then made them look almost factory, really. He's done such a great job. And then painted it in enamel. Man, it's awesome. But if you need to get something done similar, Baz Spec Fabrications, you'll find him on Facebook. He's the man. Nice. Just put a very light smear of this. My milkshakes bring all the boys to the yard. Alrighty. Okay, 2 bottles of supercharger oil, genuine AC Delco. It's about 50 bucks a bottle. Yeah. So I'm just putting the 3.2 inch pulley back on, all right? The temptation is to go one of our smaller pulleys. And yes, the belt length is going to change regardless, but I'm kind of curious to see what sort of difference it makes with the same boost, but with intercooling. And I'm sure you guys are probably interested in that as well. And then once we've got, you know, the intercooler sort of set up and we know it's working, we can start stepping up the boost with smaller pulleys. Let's hope this firewall's not going to be an issue. Oh, that's close. More than close. What the fuck? Wow, that is tight. Okay. She is right up against the firewall there. So, to use the factory fuel line, you basically got to use these spacers, which will sit kind of up there between the fuel rail and the injector. So obviously there's 6 of those. The hold downs for this rail as well. There's some bolts to replace the little studs that were in there before. So yeah, it's all part of the plan. So I managed to find a 7PK 1800. It's not quite as tight as we would like it, but it gives us a ballpark to work with, and it'll work in a pinch, so we'll try that. So we're getting up to the nitty-gritty part, which is fitting our barrel cooler. I've got to plumb it into the intake circuit. At least if we do that, the car will run. And if we get this done today, we could put it on the dyno today. This is the last day that Max Performance is open. So in theory, if we were to get some piping on this today, we could possibly put it on the dyno today, which would be fantastic. But I'm not going to be able to do it all properly to do that. Like, I feel there's still another day and a half, 2 days work to do all proper mounts for everything and do it as a final finished product. How if we were to bodge it and just run piping and cooling and the hoses and don't bolt anything in, we could do this today. So I'm thinking, he goes there. We pipe him back to the intake. Maybe we can face them up, I don't know, don't care. But we could test that this is all going to work today, and that way we know if it's actually a viable option. All right, what do we need? Bit of silicone spray. So I got a bunch of silicons and clamps. Now these ones on the adapter are 3 1/4 for whatever reason. However, I was able to squeeze a 3-inch on there. There's no way in hell you're going to squeeze a 3-inch on that end though. So I got a 3 1/4 on that one because it's the hard one. I managed to get a 3-inch on that one, which is easier. But we'll clamp them up, and then we're going to go 90 into there, 90 out to there, a little 30 just to make that bend there, and then 90 back into the manifold. Pretty expensive exercise because all these silicons and joins and stuff and clamps, pretty expensive. There-ish. $30. Got 2 30s, I think. Sort of there. look what we have created. It's alive! Well, hopefully it'll be alive. We'll fire it up in a sec just to check. But we have done the most simplest intercooler setup ever. Basically, out of the blower, through this barrel intercooler, back in under the blower. It should work. We're going to actually run the hoses off to our heat exchanger as well, but we're also going to just do, like, we've got a big bucket here on the floor. We're going to fill that full of ice and water just to make this happen. Some may say just do the ice water through the cooler, keep it simple. Sure. However, if we're returning, you know, super hot water back to that, it's going to melt the ice pretty quick. So we're going to be on the dyno with the fan. Let's come into our cooler and then cool the water a bit before it returns to the ice bucket. So we're just going to cable tie that to our front bar. Everyone wants us to remove the nudge bar. The nudge bar is good and super handy for this situation. So Zane's got a couple cars, the dyno down there today. Today is the last day, but it's kind of all come together. You know, we've found a serpentine belt. We've managed to get all this piping together. Let's fire it up and see if it actually runs. As usual, this is a legitimate first start for us. We always like to get it on camera. Let's see how this goes. All right. Okay, that might be an issue. How? Okay, it runs, but what the actual fudge? The vacuum of the engine is that great that it sucks all in these joints, and then when you give it some boost, boom, they all pop up like balloons. Oh, wow. This is going to be very interesting. See, here it is, Revel in its glory. Isn't it just fantastic? We have done some dodgy stuff in the past, but this is right up there with it. However, the video is getting quite long, so we've decided we're going to cut this off here. So you're watching this on Friday, so Christmas Eve. We're going to have the dyno video up on Monday. So you'll have Christmas to drink and eat and be merry and fight with your family and all that great Christmassy stuff. But yes, the dyno stuff, that'll be happening Monday, so join us then for the very last episode of Carnage on 2021. Yeah, what a year it's been. Anyway, join us there on a future episode of Carnage.